I have already made up my mind that in the United States, I think something about the Oriental, the true Oriental should be shown. You better believe it, because if you honestly express yourself, it doesn't matter. I do think that thinking from Chinese would be quite interesting. I mean, not that I'm politically reclining on anything.
No, I understand that. I just wondering.
But I mean, once the opening of China, I mean, that it will bring more understanding, more things that are, like different, and maybe in the contrast of comparison, some new thing might grow. So therefore, I mean, it's a very rich period to be in.
Hello. We are here.
Hello.
Oh, yay. Finally, we figured out all the technical issues and successfully managed to put our voice out of this beautiful land of China from Shanghai. Anyways,
And the world.
And to the world. Hello, world. We are Shanghai Tripod. I am Babuji and...
I'm Danggu.
I'm Jacob.
Oh, I thought you were Jacob. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Jacob, it's the same.
Same shit. Yeah. Potato.
Yeah, and also irrelevant, for the conversation. It's mostly like a bipod conversation and you just being one of those, the bone.
Yeah, the left out tray.
Okay. So why do we really want to start this podcast? What are we going to talk about? And who are we? As in, I think people would be interested to know who they are listening to. So who are we?
True.
Who are we?
Yeah, I'm sure nobody cares who we are, but we still have to do the introduction, so you might be interested in us.
Yes. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in who you are because you sound very interesting, Donggu. Who are you?
I'm Donggu. I am in Shanghai right now. I was born here, grew up here, and I probably die here
Shanghai
also.
You're
Yeah.
born in Shanghai.
Yeah.
You do sound like a very cynical person. So you are that end of the tripod who will always be criticizing things and being cynical.
No, I'm very positive. It's the world. It's not me.
Of course.
Indeed.
Nice.
We all agree that world is a very cynical place. And actually one of the reasons why we wanted to make this podcast is to try and bring a little bit of sunshine to this
Cynical.
dark world.
True.
So to start off, please introduce yourself, my ray of sunshine. Jakub,
Yeah.
Jacob.
Oh,
whatever your name is.
sorry. I thought it was Donggu. Okay, hi. My name is Jacob, and I'm a Inner Mongolian guy, born and raised, half raised, and the other half I was raised in Toronto, Canada. So I don't know who I am, and I don't know where I'm from when it's asked, and I don't know where I will die, and I will always be like that. Yay!
Not knowing where you're going to die is a very interesting problem which only people in first world country face. So Shanghai is a first world country, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's not. That's why I know where I would die.
Oh.
We're a developing country.
Nice.
That's very clear.
It is. Shanghai is a developer.
No,
okay.
Shanghai is not a country. Shanghai is a city in China. If somebody doesn't know, now you know.
Yes, but when I say Shanghai is a country, I mean, for me, okay, I come from a very, very small town from India. I was born in a very, very tiny village in a place in India called Mangalore, which is south part of India. And I had a very interesting journey throughout my life, slowly moving from various locations in the world and coming to Shanghai. And I find Shanghai, in comparison to a lot of places where I've been to, a very developed city, and one of the best cities I've lived in. And I that's why I feel it is better than a lot of other cities I've been to just compare. So maybe because you just lived here, have you been outside China?
Outside China, there's other countries outside China. I thought that's the only country in the world. No?
True. Oh,
Okay, sorry, just kidding.
phew. Wiping sweat.
Okay, so Donggu, you went out of China to study, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You did. So
I did.
you have a way to compare Shanghai to other cities.
Yes, we can do that.
This
Nothing to
conversation, my people, is what we call how to kill a conversation within few seconds.
Yeah. That's why her name is Donggu.
Yes.
The mafia boss that murders all conversations.
So I think one of the important things that why we decided to start this podcast is to figure out if we can get one conversation out, or more than one conversation out from Donggu, isn't it, Jacob?
Yes. Yes. Now it seems like the correct goal for this podcast
Yeah, I think that's
to extract the information from Donggu.
Yeah. So, Jacob, or whatever your name is.
Yes, sir.
You've been in Shanghai. Now let's assume that you are just living in Shanghai, okay?
Yeah.
Because-
Yeah. I worked in Shanghai for a couple of years, and always travel there.
Yes. So, what do you feel about Shanghai? Do you feel that Shanghai is a developing location, or is it a developed location compared to, let's
Well,
say, Canada as a whole?
Right. Shanghai is like this post-futuristic city that is the face of this developing China
Mm-hmm.
country.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when people think of China now, I think people will not think of Hong Kong anymore, or not Beijing, because Beijing is more like a capital, like politics and governments and stuff. But Shanghai is always the face, the attraction, the gateway to China for especially Uyghurs.
Yeah, that is interesting because I'd been to Hong Kong and before coming to China, and I always assumed that when I go to mainland China, even though I had heard of Shanghai and Beijing and all that stuff, and I'd seen pictures and all that stuff, I didn't expect what I saw. I remember, like it's been 11 years now. The first time I came to China, I got out of the plane, and I remember somebody had come to pick me up to bring me to the downtown. And this is Pudong Airport, which is the international airport in Shanghai, for people who don't know.
Yeah.
And when I came out, the first thing I saw was this really, really high-speed train, which could bring you to almost downtown within few minutes. And that was mind-blowing. It's called maglev. It was mind-blowing for me because I had been to developed countries before, and I've been to Hong Kong, so kind of like namesake of understanding what I knew about China. And I was blown away when I saw maglev at first part, and when I came down to the city, I saw this entire streets made of high rises and shopping malls and people being very how do I say it, like people being more exorbitant than what I expected from a country like China. People being happy and shopping and roaming around in fancy clothes, branded stuff and all that. I was blown away, as in I was amazed by the metropolitan part of Shanghai. Maybe because I just went first to Jing'an and like the downtown area, so I was kind of like blown away by this whole thing. That's why for me, if somebody tells me that Shanghai is a developing city, I think I can prove them wrong like 100 times by telling them what all is there. So I agree with Jakob about this futuristic city.
Yes. But the reason we are called Shanghai Tripod is not because we want to tell you how great Shanghai is. The reason is that two of us are based out of Shanghai, and the other is Tripod. So, I don't know who that person is, but yeah, you can guess. So that's why we are called Shanghai Tripod.
With this kind of conversation, it's not 100%. It's not Jakub and me. It must be you. Definitely bigger balls than both of us.
but we're just telling, like, just wanna share our experience in China, in Shanghai, and to share some fun stuff, some news that's happening here, good or bad. Just something interesting to discuss, and interesting to us because we care about ourselves first of all, and
Yeah.
then probably to audience who are interested in us and the topics we're talking about.
Yeah, but we're not going to be only talking about China, right? We're going to give our perspective sitting from here.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about things which happens in the world, right? Jakub, you any kind of topics which you would be interested to talk about in future?
Oh, many. Yeah, I do feel like this can go everywhere or anywhere, like if we wanted to, because first we're gonna share like our views or perspectives as like I would say the modern day nomad people, not nomad, but like mentally we're not fixed to like daily jobs or you know
True.
or one part of the world that we've we wait we're called tripod no but no, but
Yeah,
I mean like
as
we've
in, I
been
think
around, yeah, we see. Mhm.
I, I, I think I want to. I think you can talk more about nomadic mind. That sounded interesting. What
Yeah,
do you mean by nomadic
yeah,
mind?
yeah, yeah, I would say shamelessly I feel like I'm a world citizen more than like a citizen of a city or a
Mm-mm-mm.
citizen of one country,
Mm-mm.
because in Olympics I support everyone like whatever, like yeah, I don't hate on other places, and I feel like people and cultures are very interesting, and the more we learn from each other, the better we will be all together, instead of just wearing like this political glasses that all the news feed us from different perspectives, and see the world with some caution, like some
Yeah.
cautions are unnecessary. Yeah,
That's it's
so
a
we will
very
just yeah.
very good point, as in I feel the
Mm.
same. As in, I would also
Mm.
agree that all three of us are maybe not location based mentally. Maybe we are location based physically, but we are not location based
Mm.
mentally because we end up consuming a lot of things from around the world, whether it's entertainment, whether it's news, whether it's information, whether it's food, whether it's culture. We have become something which we were not when we were born. Probably when we were born, we were designated a country. That is not because of our choice. It's because our parents were born in that country and they decided to make a mistake. And in our case, three mistakes.
Yeah.
So and so we didn't really have a choice, where we were born and what culture we were given. But I think growing up and reaching to a certain age, we have realized that there are certain things which are important to us. We have developed our own thought process, of course, with influence of a lot of things around us, including the countries which we lived in, the countries where we have friends and girlfriends and boyfriends from. So there's a lot of influence from various cultures, and I think that is
Yeah.
what gave this unique mentality and unique perspective for us. I think a lot of people end up being biased to one kind of thought process, and we three individuals coming from three different perspectives want to try to give a very unbiased perspective to a lot of things, right?
Yeah, not really. We can't really call it unbiased because everybody has perspective, and that is called biasness.
Mm.
And I think knowing, listening to different people with different perspectives, that is something that can really help us know things better, to know more
Yeah.
things,
Mm.
and that can
Yeah.
how do you say, minimize the biasness it might happen to us.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we're not only going to talk about serious stuff because all three of us have background or interest in films
Not serious stuff.
and artistic stuff. So we're going to talk about some artistic stuff also. We're going to talk about things which we like, could be music, could be food, could be funny things which we realize, could be things which we read about China. I think a lot of our podcast listeners would want to know what it is really to be in China, because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about China, both good and bad. We will try
Yeah.
to be as honest about it as possible, without
Yeah.
without trying to add our own, and of course we'll add our own flavor to it and try and give an unique angle to
Yeah.
what we think about this location. Yeah.
We can talk about like culture,
Hmm.
like the drinking culture, the dancing culture,
Mm-mm.
dating culture,
Mm.
or like the mental health of
Mm.
Chinese people.
Mm-mm.
People, the mentality of people from like Shanghai, big cities,
Mm.
or small towns,
Hmm.
small villages in China, or
Or we'll talk about,
or-
do Chinese women really enjoy group sex? That's a very important question I had in my mind. I'm sure if
True.
we can get answered.
stay tuned. We will get there.
Oh, by the
Or
way,
not.
like I feel like earlier I said Shanghai is like the face of China, right? Because you know, like from a lot of political speeches saying like, oh, you know, Texas, you guys are the backbone of America, or like, you know, Northwest region, you guys are the backbone of China. But I feel Shanghai is literally the face of China, where people look for when they first know. And yeah, different parts of China like represent different parts of the physical body, and I feel Shanghai is the lit, or how can I say, the most liberate place in China that can make something new and exciting and creative. And
Mm.
on that sense, it exceeds the developing country quotation and goes beyond. Like it's definitely one of the first tier cities in the world. One of the first tier cities in the world. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, I probably would draw parallels between Shanghai and cities like New York, Tokyo, or Berlin, which are not only like
Yeah.
economically developed, and it has a mix of interesting people. Maybe Shanghai doesn't really have a lot of different international mix of people in term as compared to say a New York or a Berlin, but it does have an interesting mix of people from around China, as in there are people who are born and
And
who
around the
lived
world, I've seen a
China.
lot of like
Foreigners, yeah, a lot of foreigners, but it's not. I still feel that there's something.
Yeah, it's not as mixed as the other.
New York, yeah, New York, but it
Yeah.
still has its own unique aspect to it.
Vibe.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I think the fact that culturally Shanghai has a lot of influence over not only, of course, the world overall, but I think Shanghai is one of the most key cultural holders for entire China, as in things and trends which set up in Shanghai eventually end up in more or less across China, as well as something cool which is happening around in China comes to Shanghai. So it becomes like this one stop. If a foreigner wants to learn or know everything about China, he can actually live in Shanghai and get to experience entire China in a very, in a nutshell. You can enjoy the luxury side of it. You can enjoy the political side. Understanding how China works. You can enjoy the business side, the capital side, but you can also enjoy the plaza dancers and the socialist regime things, which is very fantastic. It's a very unique mix. I don't think any country in the world exists which has this kind of combination, and that makes it
Yeah.
more like Tokyo feels Tokyo. It has its own unique personality and stuff like that. Shanghai is this. Shanghai feels like a teenager who's still trying to figure out what he is. So I think that is why it becomes
Oh,
exciting to
nice.
live in Shanghai, because it has not figured out. It has not figured out.
Uh-huh.
It's experimenting with its own thought processes. It's that it's a horny teenager for one time, but also a philosophical boy who's trying to read a certain book and try and understand how the world works.
Interesting.
And it
Yeah.
also is trying to be matured and try and quote a quote from Socrates and Aristotle or Karl Marx to figure out, oh, I fall into that category. At the same time, it will do something really dumb and get a cosmetic surgery on its nose. So I think Shanghai has this mix of
I like that.
Lot of
That's
lot
a
of
good metaphor.
lot of flavors to it, and then I think that is what is exciting for me. I think living here, it makes it very exciting for me because get to see that phase, and I think that this transition from a teenager to adulthood, before it defines what it is, I think we being part of it makes it very exciting for me to be part of this city.
Yes, nicely put. I completely agree. That's how I see like Shanghai is iconic by herself. And also, you're in the future when your train when the time you wait for the train is longer than the time the train brings you to the other places.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is crazy. As in, this is like, coming from India, things are never in time, never on time. Like, we probably will just wait like 2 days to get a train, and it will take 6 days to reach somewhere. So it's amazing that I waited 15 minutes for Maglev, and it took me, the journey took 6 minutes. And it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
I know it might not sound a lot crazy for people in current generation, or people who are living in Shanghai, or people, but somebody who's coming from a place where I was born, where to get to the city it takes 3 bus rides, and then like a hand bicycle to get to the city from my place where I was born. So I think it's amazing to see something like that. So yeah, what were you saying something about sculpting? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, like, I feel like for the first podcast, we're like 3 sculptors trying to figure out what we can shape this podcast into. But I felt like this is the purpose of podcast, like people just speaking their thoughts and communicating, because especially during this global lockdown-ish quarantine time, people are more shut from the exterior or like their interior mind process, like altogether, just by pure physical forces. But yeah, I guess we have to figure out a way to stay healthy,
Yeah.
do mental exercise.
Yeah. I think, that was the main, also one of the purposes which we wanted to start podcast is to, it's not really for us to kind of find out audience and reach out to and then preach them something. It's mostly trying to give voice to what our thought processes are, and especially voicing them out to people who have voicing out to not just audience but also to like to each other, because sometimes we have a certain perspective or certain thought process, and we feel that we are accurate about it, and we are like we get stuck to that kind of thinking. And when you actually share it out, say it out loud, sometimes you can get critique, sometimes you can get praised, and then you know that you are in the right direction. And it slowly helps us to put things together in a place where we are in a better shape mentally, especially as you rightly mentioned, especially after what happened with lockdowns and all that. People have suddenly have started the need to communicate in a very reformed way, and not really just communicate randomly, and need to share exactly what you think, and how we can change, how we can become better, what have we experienced, what are you experiencing, has become higher. And also thanks to social media, it's become easier. But sometimes we hide ourselves behind this persona where we are not really sharing the truth. And then this whole thing of doing this podcast is to kind of share our real views without being judged.
Yeah, I think the only thing we know is that we don't know anything.
Yes.
So from YouTube, for me, YouTube actually opened a window for me. I can get to know a lot of things about the world that I don't get to know from other social media. And but what I think what audience can see from YouTube can also be, how do I say, shaped by the agenda of the social media or some different powers. And we are here just trying to give a different voice, the voice that might be different from what you usually hear. And that's the purpose of our
We're
podcast.
expected to hear. Yes.
Yeah.
True. That sums it up. Yeah.
Sounds interesting, huh? Yeah, but see, this for technical reasons, what we're going to do is that every day we're going to do this podcast every week, once in a week. We're going to pick up the topics and it's showing a book. This looks like an interesting book. What is it? Oh, this is an album. This is Shanghai
Yeah, it's a record.
record. Oh, that's interesting.
It's some Japanese people made a Shanghai tribute album by St. Louis Music,
Oh,
which is
interesting.
very random. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my chain of thought. What were we talking about? Oh yeah.
Study.
No stress. I've actually what was saying that what this podcast is going to be every week. We'll shoot one episode every week, and we're going to choose different topics each week, and we will try and be as regular as possible. We'll try and keep it as diverse as possible. Try and put our thoughts from not just things related to China directly or indirectly, but also random things which we find interesting and which we want to talk about. And yeah, we will see how it goes, right, Jakub?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. Can I plug in like a personal story?
Yes, yeah. I think that's the whole idea of this podcast
Yeah.
in the beginning. Is
All right.
that to share
Yeah.
why
When you were saying like, yeah, when you were saying, we're trying to be what we are trying to do, I just remembered once I was in LA, I think Sacramento. Yeah, I was walking around there carrying a camera. By then, I was still like a photography fan. I still am. Just with like a big ass camera and a big ass lens, walking around the street shooting people. And I just this black guy with like some really loose jeans and a purple pair of Air Jordans, and with like a angel wing kind of backpack. Just
Oh yeah, purple
very
pair of Air
random
Jordan.
looking black guy.
That looks
Yeah,
cool.
basically.
You want it?
Yeah.
Basically, you see those kind of people on the street, you just want to slowly walk away and thinking like, oh, that guy knows something that I don't.
Yeah.
He figures out something.
He
or
has figured
he's-
out life.
Yeah, I want to smoke what he's smoking. Those kind of. So he just approached me like, hey, take some pictures with me. So I just took, and he said, you're a photographer, right? I said, I'm trying to be as humble as I try to say. Yeah, and he said, nah, you don't try, you just be. Then he started this, you don't try, you just be freestyle, and then raps away into the sunset. Like, you don't try, you just be. You don't try, you just be. But by then, I thought it was just a fun moment. But time after time, this guy's word always like echoes back in my head. I realized that mentality is good. Like, we should not be trying. Like, whenever we decided to do something or do something, we just become it. And we once we try to be it, we will force ourselves to do the things that the profession requires us to be, even on our personal time or the professional time. It's a good mentality. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, I guess for this podcast, we're just trying to be what we think we are.
Yeah,
Without
but
hesitation.
I think
Or-
but you know what, the message you told me, like, when you're sharing this message, the thought process, like the thing which came into mind. This is why I think this podcast is interesting, because what you took from there is very different than what I would have taken. Like when you said to be, it basically meant not to do anything. Just be yourself. I would have not taken this message that if I had, like, imagine like me being in your position, and I was carrying a camera, and then I was like, okay, I want to be a photographer, and then I'm trying to be a photographer, and then this guy said, oh, don't try, just be. And the message I would have taken from that whole experience would be, oh, I'm just trying too hard. I just should be what I am and not really try to be anything
Yeah.
else. I probably because
Very negative, huh?
yeah, but that's the message. Which
No, but
in a
it
very
works
positive
both ways.
way.
I think both ways.
Yeah, it's in a very
Yeah.
positive way. Like being myself, like, you know, a lot of times, of course, photography is a passion to you and stuff like that, so you really enjoy it. But a lot of times people try to be somebody they are not, because, or they
Yeah.
do something which, like I had this realization, like I think around 10 years ago, that I was working in a job, and I really did not. I was good at it. It's not that I was bad at it. I was good at it, and I was doing very well for myself. But I was not enjoying it, right? I was not being myself. I was trying to fit into that persona of wanting to be somebody else, right? See, in your case,
Yeah.
photography is
Yeah.
something which you are, right? In my case, that job was not me. I was good at
Yeah.
it because the society or the job demanded it, and you know, there's always this requirement of you being good at that thing. So at that moment, I was like, okay, if I had met an angel guy, you know, a dark angel, like that, I would have been like, okay, fuck it, you know, I'm gonna not be what the
Yeah.
society wants me to be. I will be me, and I'll not try to be somebody else or not try to please anybody else. So I think it's interesting. That's why I find this kind of podcasty conversation very interesting, because see, the same signs you get might mean a lot more, like lot different things to just people like you and me, who we do have a lot of common interests, you and me, but we still took a different pathway. We would have taken completely different routes to that message.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you
Yeah.
got, Dongu?
Oh, I actually just remind me another story experience of mine. I also ran into a black angel. I don't like the angel word because that's too religious. Because
No, but the guy was wearing a backpack. You know, it's not okay.
okay, yeah, maybe the wings. Okay,
The
okay.
wings, wings. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, you can call him a black bird. That sounds like a superhero.
Bird person.
Bird person.
Yeah, so that was in Los Angeles, and I was driving.
What the
and
fuck? Everybody is talking about things
Also in-
happening in LA.
Also in California, also
We
about
should-
black people.
We should talk about, like, make it into a Santa Monica tripod instead of Shanghai Tripod.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I was driving and I stopped my car at a crossroad. There was a stop sign, and there was this a black guy who was walking toward the crossroad, and he was in like really this shabby clothes, looked like a homeless person, and he was screaming, like just was yelling to some other people, and he was yelling at me. Then he turned to me and then started yelling at me. And I did not know what he want. I got a little bit scared, to be very honest. And then I was thinking maybe he did not mean anything harmful. He just yelling. So I smiled at him, little bit, with a little bit nervous smile. And then he said, "Thank you for your smile." And that
That's a good story.
it just blew my mind. I was like, what was I thinking? What did I think of him when I saw him?
Yeah.
And it was the stereotype that was in my head that almost made me feel bad or made me feel nervous. But it's just not true. It's maybe he's just a simple, nice person. That's it.
Yeah. You encountered the god of guilt trip.
On a
Right
journey
back at ya.
on a journey to California, Dongu met the guilt trip.
So this is a religious show, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, but talking about this, it's very heartwarming that this story happened to us. But I think one of the things which we constantly forget is that it's always good to try out something out of the ordinary. I think, you know, just to either to like be nice or just to fuck with them. You know, like, you know, I
Yeah.
remember this. I remember getting into this bar fight. Not me, you know, bar fight. You know, like when you go to, especially when you're in a teenagers, like not teenagers, like after 18, you go to this dance clubs and all that stuff, and there's always like this young people getting into fight and all that stuff. And so I remember just to fuck with one of the guys. He was like, I knew him, but I don't know him as personal friend. So he was like, "Oh yeah, what are you looking at?" You know, this is one of the common ways people pick up. So what are you looking at? And I was actually looking at him. It was like I was, right? You know, so what are you looking at? And he was getting furious, and I was just to fuck with him. I said, "Look at that shoes, man. That shoes looks dope." And he was like, "What?" he was very confused. He was angry at me, and everything. And he was like, "Okay, thank you."
Smart. Save your ass.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's in what you did. I know that you had a very heartwarming story with him, you know, with that guy, and maybe he was trying to scare you, and you just fucked him up, like smiled at him. Now tell me what you're going to do, huh? And he was like, "Okay, madam, maybe this lady is a serial killer. She better smile back." And then, "Thank you for your smile. Please don't do anything to me."
Control. Don't be racist.
That guy could be doing a podcast somewhere saying your story. One day I was angry. I was ready to kill. Then I saw an Asian girl. She smiled at me. Then suddenly,
Then suddenly I decided to start a podcast, and I am called Joe Rogan.
yes.
Yeah, but I think one of the things which comes as an advantage for people who've lived
Yeah.
globally, you know, like what you're saying, nomadic mind, is that you get to do stuff which probably is like out of, like a lot of people can't do in this world. It's really cool that you can, like, imagine if I was a small town person living in, say, Nigeria, in small, and then listening to this podcast. It's like the fact that there is an Asian lady driving in LA, interacting with black person is amazing. As in, that is amazing. As in, and worrying about what reaction, and the fact that we are sitting here in Shanghai and talking about a story which happened to a inner Mongolian kid who was born in Inner Mongolia, and then he was like want to become a photographer. I think that aspect of human stories which we can be part of, in this broader storytelling in the world, we are part of these small stories. And it's interesting that when you are global, when you are nomadic, you end up being part of so many beautiful small stories like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. One is all is one.
That sounds lame, but sure. Yeah, so
Sorry, that's from another game.
Yeah. Also, we will talk about gaming. We do love gaming, all of us, don't we?
Yeah. We talk about anything
Oh, yeah.
we like.
Yes. Again, don't go serious again. And
So we are a chicken soup
Mm.
podcast.
yeah. So did you realize that we went from being a stupid podcast to a religious podcast to a chicken soup podcast to artistic podcast? You know, we kind of like jumping genres, and that's what we're going to do in the podcast, people. You know, in future, we're going to jump genres. You know, we're not going to be sticking to a certain style of conversations or certain style of topics. We're going to move from one topic to another topic. You know, in today's podcast, I'm the one who's speaking a lot. In the next podcast, also I'll be the one who'll be speaking a lot. And probably all the podcasts, I'll be the one who's speaking a lot.
Yes.
Renaissance man cannot be blocked by genres.
Yes, that's true. Indeed. Call out to
We have
Renaissance
to
man.
spread our wisdom.
Yes. So
Come to our cult.
yeah. So one of the things which I was always curious that this is the question for both of you guys. You know, is that why did we choose English as a language to communicate?
Oh, we didn't choose English as the language. I think the English people. Sorry.
The
Yes.
colonists decided that 100, 200 years ago, not us.
Oh, interesting. So, are we going to talk about these brutal colonists who destroyed all three of our countries?
Oh yeah, sure. We get there also.
True. Yeah, true.
So, we are going to be talking about you guys also, because apparently majority of the population watching YouTube these days are from countries which are colonized. So, we will be talking for you, sir, for each one of you.
Who's that?
People from India, people from Nigeria, people from all the African nations, people from so all the countries which have been colonized, we will be your
Vietnam.
voice.
South Asia. Yeah.
Yeah, and not you, Japan. We will not be speaking for you.
Yeah, and thanks to the colonists, you can understand us. We can talk to you.
Mm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Japan and Germany are still like they're still very close to their mistake from like a long time span. So yeah, they're
Yeah,
not
but I know I don't want to sound like that I forgive
pro-Nazi.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I forgive Germany or Japan for what they've done, but I feel that there is a little bit of unfairness in terms of how much Germany and Japan are getting punished compared to what so-called Great Britain is getting punished, or France is getting punished, or Spaniards are getting punished for their colonizing and affecting almost more population in the world than what they have affected in the World War II. As in, this is also a very interesting topic for us, and I think we have every right to criticize Germans and Japanese for what they've done. But at the same time, we should also take into stock all the other perpetrators of violence and chaos in the world. And I feel Great Britain and France and Spain, Dutch, they all have an equal responsibility.
Especially Churchill.
Yeah.
Especially Churchill, yes, indeed. Sorry, don't want to point fingers at individuals. We're talking about general topic, but yes, we hate a certain bunch of people. We not okay. Again, hate is a strong word. We just got to talk about things which we think was not right and have not been accepted. And sometimes it's not fair that Germans get the brunt of the entire blame for World War II. But
Yeah.
somehow we conveniently forgot World War One and conveniently forgot that most of the countries were colonies of Great Britain or France or Spain in 1940s. Like India got independence today, around 75 years ago, 15th August 1947. Till that time, India was a colony of Great Britain. And same with China. China, of course, did not get independence, but they were able to come to a peace treaty between Japan today, 77 years ago.
Oh yeah, today is
19
that Memorial Day of the surrender of Japanese army.
So, but at the same time, China lost Hong Kong because of stupid war which was created by French and British under the overusage of opium, and that actually changed China as it is. So I think one of the things which we're going to cover in podcast is also history, because we all like talking about history and politics also. So just because we are a podcast based out of China doesn't mean that we're going to have a restricted content from our side. We'll be very open about what we feel about every country, including China.
Yeah.
Right, Yaku?
Yeah, that's why we use English.
Yes. See, now this is what we were coming to. The reason why we are using English is because we want to bypass the censorship. China.
Of YouTube, right? We want to bypass the censorship of YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. We love you.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up today's podcast, anything you guys want to share? Like, what should audience expect in the next set of podcasts? Tangu.
Audience should expect interesting content, and I hope.
Who are you
it
selling?
is-
Are you selling a movie to Netflix? Interesting content.
We will try very hard to entertain you. I hope you find it funny and enjoy listening to us. That's all we want. I don't want you to expect anything. I just expect that you will like us. That's it.
That's like a paradoxical statement which Dongo made. Like, I don't expect anything from you, but I expect you to like us. It's just like put the burden of liking this entirely to the audience. You better like us, motherfucker.
Please, I beg you. Not that I force you. Just please.
And if you are worthy enough, you will get a smile from Dongu.
Yes.
Which might change your life.
Yeah. Usually I roll my eyes. You can't see. Yeah, but that's rare. Smile is rare.
So Jakube, Jacob, what do you
Yeah.
what do you want to share? Tell our audience what they can expect from a future podcast.
Many conversations that helps people to find their places in the world through,
So you want to
I
solve the
guess,
race issue in the world?
all issues. I think it's solvable. Actually, yeah, I think if we don't try to start, then yeah, we will never solve it.
Alright.
So I will give all of my 2 cents and black cards from wife.
All right. As I think what you can expect from the future podcast is range of topics, as in without sounding too boring, but range of topics, mostly things which interest us. Actually, I don't really care whether any audience listens to this or not. And
Oh, I care, please.
Yes, people here. I think I just like listening to my own voice, so it's basically me recording for myself. So.
That's the reality.
And I sometimes find it burdening to have you guys in the podcast because it creates like this barrier between me and my own voice, so it just affects me.
Sorry for
I was
our
wondering how
existence.
this sentence will go.
Anyways, okay, on a serious note, I do love my voice, but more importantly, I hope people would like to listen to what I have to say and what these guys want to tag along. If they don't object to my viewpoint, I would be happy. If they object to my viewpoint, I would harshly protest and probably even walk out from the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Jakob, we've spoken already for 46 minutes. That's actually pretty good. I actually have a lot of things to talk about, and I felt that Dongo has not spoken anything. She's very closed today.
I don't want to go between you and your voice.
That was a joke, my lady.
Okay. Next time.
Yeah, but let's try this thing up. Let's try see how we can mix and see how it sounds. And if
Yeah, in the end, we want to shout out to Germany and Japan for your cars and good adult industry. Thank you.
True.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I
Is this
suddenly
close
realized. No, sorry. Before we cut it off, hey, actually, it's surprising, right? That Germany and Japan are the two of the countries which makes like the best porn and sex toys.
Yeah, I haven't seen any porn from Germany.
German porn is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Japanese porn, I think as good Japanese porn is for Asian, is like Japanese porn for Western would be German porn.
Oh, really?
As in, I got to
They're the equivalent.
I got to experience best of both. It was like a good threesome between me, German porn, and Japanese porn.
Okay, we talk about it next time. Stay tuned.
What is stay tuned? Which era are you? Like stay tuned sounds like somebody from like 80s. Like stay tuned to a blockbuster released in your nearest blockbuster.
Sorry.
Yeah, and whenever you say stay tuned, I feel like I have to go to library after this and go like a crazy research on like Japan, Germany.
What is library?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think researching on German porn and Japanese porn could be a very good focus for us for this week.
Yeah,
Let's not spoil it.
yeah, I will go deep.
Okay. I'm sure I can go deeper thanks to my tripod.
Enough.
True.